doesn't start live like right away, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you've been live for 5 seconds. Welcome.
Oh, well, we're
I've
live right
noticed
now.
that.
Yeah, welcome everybody. We are live now. Zach Martin here with Alicia and our friend Lauren, the Dadvocate, live from I think you're Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
We
the
got
Mitten State.
the Mitten State. I like that. I have not been to the Mitten State. It's on my list. I have 3 states to go to still, and Michigan is not yet is one of those 3 that I still have not made it to.
Whoa, you've been to every state except 3?
Yeah, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So basically, that whole
you're missing
north.
the Midwest. Get
I
ready
heard
to
it's
eat
nice.
some ranch, brother.
I love ranch on fries, on chicken. I'm down. Why have I not come? Can I get poutine?
Oh yeah. We love poutine here in the Midwest. We love poutine and saying, "Excuse me, I'm going to sneak right past you there."
For some more ranch, please, if I can.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. It's on my list. I almost planned a trip with my son 2 summers ago, and we decided to go and do something a little different in Wyoming. It was great, but I definitely want to get out there and do some camping. You know, hang up the what is it, the national park up in like the Isle of somebody knows what I'm talking about.
I don't even know where to tell you to start in Michigan. It's really just like pick a pocket. You going up north, millions of stuff to do up there. You got your Tequamanon Falls. You've got your painted rocks. Like the wildlife up there is beautiful. But then if you're on the east side, you've got like the Henry Ford Museum, and they've got the chair that Abraham Lincoln was shot in. So it's like the blood is still on it.
Whoa, okay. So, that's pretty wild.
And you can go in the bus that Rosa Parks refused to stand up in.
Okay.
I'll make you feel a thing.
yeah. Like this is like a historic moment right here. Not in this moment, but
yeah, they built a village. It's called Greenfield Village, and it's literally you get to wander around this entire village that's supposed to be like the olden days, and there's like horses and buggies, and there's like, you know, the Thomas Edison's factory. You just walk over, and they
it's magical.
I don't know how they brought all these buildings there, but they're like, yeah, Thomas Edison's factory. We'll just put it here. I don't know how they even do this, but
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. There's so much good stuff, and it sounds like Detroit's a huge area, right? Or the area around Detroit is gigantic. So there's just so many things to get into. We're going to Niagara Falls because I've done with my son once, trying to get 18 fireworks in. That's been a big thing for him and I, is they go to do fireworks for 4th of July. And so we did Canada Day on the 1st and then the 4th of July on the 4th. And then coronavirus got in the way last time, or 2 times ago. So the virus. And so now
it's been making its way back too.
I heard this rumor. It's like the white lung now or something like that. That's what coming from China through Europe.
Mysterious pneumonia.
You know, we ought to start using code words. Remember, everybody got mad when we would say pandemic on social media, so everybody tried to start saying the panorama or the panini.
Yeah.
We should just call this one the panini for sure.
I like panini.
I really try to dodge the paninis all that I can, especially for New Year and resolutions. They're good. I know. It would give it a bad name. It would ruin a panini because now everybody's trying to dodge paninis.
Truly, and Panera's already in deep shit with that deadly lemonade, so we can't have much more devastation.
Yeah, there'll be no more Panera breads, just empty stores now. So, well, Lauren, welcome to coming on here. It was fun to meet you. We got together in St. Louis for the first time, and we got to spend a lot of time together. It was really great. What was your favorite part about being out there in St. Louis?
Oh man, I had so much fun in St. Louis. The first thing that I did was I went to the Union Square, and I rode the Ferris wheel, and I went to the aquarium, and I had such a great time before our Equal Shared Parenting conference. But then I finished that so fast that I had time to go to the zoo. So I did all kinds of stuff in St. Louis, before the conference, just having a blast. I was like, look at these orangutans, look at all this, just loving my life. But yeah, we had quite the fun little shared parenting conference. I was amazed at what everybody threw together there. We had senators, legislators, people from different states involved in equal shared parenting communities there. People came from all over the place for that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
really inspirational.
It was.
It was.
You know, I think so many good people in this movement that have gone through a lot. Sorry, am I just talking too much?
Maybe.
Maybe, I know. Come together, you know, and
Keep going.
and the things that they're doing across our country, like to make these changes. And there's just and when you get in those groups and those places, they hear the different things that everybody's working on and how much change is necessary to really bring about, you know, good results for our kids and helping our kids have better reactions to their families and stuff and connection. It's just it's inspiring, and it's also pretty intimidating that we have a lifetime of work to do to make this happen.
We do.
But in a positive way, you get together in a group like that, everybody together in front of each other, and you realize all the work that's being done that you don't even know about. And so it's pretty positive message. It's pretty inspirational. It is.
And Alicia, I think you can appreciate this. I think that one of the coolest things to see in St. Louis for that Equal Shared Parenting Conference was that it was in no way a sausage fest. There were so many women that showed up for that. I want to say it was almost like half and half, quite honestly, of the people there.
And that,
yeah.
That's the first event. Because I went to one in DC, and there was a couple moms, but I was blown away with the amount of the moms there, just, I mean, as individuals, but then organizations and people in the movement, like I said, that I didn't even know about. I had no idea. And so it was good.
The adult children from alienated homes that are starting to publicly come out and speak up too is becoming very powerful, because when we as parents show up to speak to these legislators and take them out to coffee and try to talk to them about these issues, oftentimes it's really easy to dismiss us as like, oh, you're just bitter that you didn't get what you wanted in court.
Right.
But when it's the adult children speaking up after a lifetime of being alienated from one parent or feeling like they had no control, and so many innumerable negative consequences that can come out of family court situations, when they're the ones speaking up and saying things are not right, they need to be reformed, how are you going to tell them, oh, you're just bitter, you're just mad? Like,
right.
Yeah, they are, and they have a right to be.
Right.
Exactly.
You're just mad because of your dad. You know, like,
exactly.
Just get over it and move on. I think that the kids, the adults now who have gone through the experience that are actually out there talking about that is probably the most impactful. And I'm looking at having a guy on here who has gone through the experience as a kid and then now as an adult having the experience and stuff also. And it's just a terrible cycle. And as you see all the destruction that's causing around our country, and I wish it was something we could have changed right this moment, but 5 states down, right? So, and many more to go.
Yeah.
Many more.
Next event, there you go. Mark Love was some of the next event's going to be in January 22nd. So if anybody's going to be in
Indianapolis.
Yes, I'm so excited. I can't wait to go back to Indy. I was just there in October. Like, we just went through as like a family trip, and I loved Indianapolis. I loved it so much. So we're going to have so much fun again. But more importantly, you had said earlier that we have a lifetime of work ahead of us. And that can seem intimidating, and I think to a lot of people they can almost be like very nihilistic about it, of like, why even bother when I probably won't ever get to experience the changes for my situation, which that's the case for us. Look, we already have our court order and custody set for the next few years until he's an adult. None of the changes that I help enact will ever change my situation. But I'm really happy to be on the right side of history.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. It could be my whole life, but I'm real happy that I'm not on the other side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, we're on the right side. We're going to be saving families, helping people have connections and relationships, and building a better connected future. Um, yeah, we are totally on the right side. And it is a lot of work to be done. And what an awesome opportunity to step into this and like have a lifetime where you get to like dedicate yourself to these things. And we have such a committed group of people right now that are so committed to making this happen. And that I know, like when I talk to people on the phone, like Matt Hale and Mark Ludwig, Alicia, you know, anybody I talk to around this place, Lauren, yourself also, we don't talk all the time, but more often, that it's just like the energy about making this change, about doing the different things that they're committed to doing and focused on, and seeing their passion and their energy is so inspiring, and it gets me pumped up. Like I'm doing my things, and I'm like, I gotta do more. Like, what more can I do right now? I'm bar prepping. So that's my more that I'm doing right now. But
yeah, no kidding.
I just want to throw this out there. I definitely do not want to do this for the rest of my life. And that's my only hope is, you know, soon. It's obviously going to take a lot of time to get everything across the country, you know, around the world, what have you, but I don't want to envision myself, you know.
You don't want to be old
pushing
Florida,
40,
having drinks when we're done with our 75 hard in Florida to celebrate, or in Louisiana when we go down there for Mardi Gras for our celebration.
I know there's probably a lot of people in the movement. They're like, you know, within 5 years, we're going to have this many states, or, you know, within this amount of time. And I think that's what's important about goal setting and things like that. But man, we should all be looking at I don't want to look at long game, you know. Mm-hmm. I want short game action and results, like as soon as possible, so we can.
There is short.
See our grandkids, I guess.
There's short game, but there is always going to be the lifetime of work, because even when we're done in the United States, we can't just give up on you know, everybody and all the other parts of the world too. You know, our friends across the pond, you know, India, Canada, all kinds of places are having all kinds of Australia. Yeah. Whew, let's not even talk about that.
Right.
Our heart goes out to it. Yeah. If there are any Australians watching, trust us. We know. We heard.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, the Down Under does not sound so nice in family court. So I'd like to go there and hang out with some kangaroos again, but not to go to family court.
You do that here. You know.
Here at kangaroos?
Yeah, here in Michigan. Actually, I just took the kids to this. They call it the zookeeper experience, but you get to chill with the kangaroos and feed them and stuff. I'll give you the zookeeper.
All right. Well, when I come out there, this summer I have 4th of July, so we're doing 4th of July is Niagara Falls. So.
Oh yeah. No, we're not exactly on the way, because we're West Michigan. If you're cutting through at all, it wouldn't be on our side.
Okay. Oh, you're on the Michigan. You're on the Michigan Lake Michigan side.
Yeah, I'm from Detroit, but I moved to the west side.
Okay. So. Well, there's
just tell everybody exactly where you live, please. Just tell everybody.
It's a long coastline on the west side, so good luck, guys. Good luck.
I feel like it's vague enough. People are like, oh, there's so much going on in West Michigan.
Yeah, West Michigan. Nothing happens in West Michigan, right? Like you go boating and the leaves change.
I mean, that's a pretty good summation of it, but there's a lot of cool stuff. Like, one thing I like about Michigan is that we're so entrenched in the wildlife that on a daily basis, I'm like seeing blue herons and red-tailed hawks and like snapping turtles. We saw like a minx recently. So there's like a lot of nothing and a lot of stuff at the same time.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'd like to go. It's on my list. The same thing out here in South Dakota and Wyoming, like a whole lot of nothing, and we don't have trees. You have trees, and so you
what
can
are you talking about?
No trees.
We have a million trees. We live in the Rockies. I mean,
it's probably no trees compared to Michigan.
What are you talking about, Zach?
We're gonna absolutely have no trees. We might be having a fight, but there's trees on Casper Mountain, and then look out north of town. Tell me how many trees you see between you and Montana.
Not like we're like Kansas or something.
3.
Welcome to
This is
Tree
the West.
Family. We are here to determine the tree presence.
Drop my earbud because of you. That's it.
Yeah, I heard you guys have to share custody of your trees with residential.
Yeah, yeah. Montana and us share, but Montana has more people, so they get to treat more often, unfortunately. So, but I hate that. So we're trying to recruit
what
people.
Zach was trying to say is,
come.
I live by mountains, and he never did. So that's all he was trying to say. I live by mountains. So,
the whole plains.
It works.
So Lauren, tell us about how you got into this movement. How you became the dad.
Stealing my questions.
Yeah. Question steal. All right. Yeah. So the easiest answer as to what got me into this is that I became a stepmom. But the longer answer, of course, is that my husband is such a good guy, which everyone says. But when I say that, it's like, I really mean no accusations made against him, always paid his child support. When I met this guy, he was like that was one of the big things that attracted me to him, was that he was such an amazing dad. He gets a girl pregnant. They're not dating. There's no plan to be together long term. But what does he do? Leaves his job, leaves his family, leaves his friends to go all the way across the state and move as close as possible to his child, to be there every single day. And when I first met him, that's what he was doing. He was seeing his son every single day. And then, I always understood everything to just be good. You know, he wasn't complaining about the baby mama. He wasn't complaining about a situation. So I had no reason to believe that anything was bad or could go wrong. But then after, almost a full year of dating, making sure that we were right for each other, taking things slow, making sure that I would be a good person to bring around his son, it was like, as soon as he made it known that he was serious about someone and that someone else was going to be in the picture, it was like, you should only see your son once a week, actually, under very specific terms, all these rules. And I remember just being so blown away by that and thinking, and I remember saying to him something about like, well, how can she do that when you share custody? And that's when he explained to me, well, here in Michigan and in a lot of states, if you're not married, the default judgment is that mother gets custody. And there's really no way to fight for joint. It's only something that you agree on. The only thing I can do is try to prove her unfit to then take the custody. And this blew my mind because I couldn't understand it. I guess I had always thought until that point that like family court was fair and that there was a much more reasonable way of determining these things, because I'm thinking to myself, why is it that the kid can only have one fit parent? Why is the kid not allowed to have two fit custodial parents just because they were never married? This makes no sense. And then all of the hoops that he had to jump through to get basic rights. I'm thinking to myself, this man did not move almost 300 miles to be a mile away from this child to get 1 day a week with him, especially when he used to have every single day, And so then he is having to hire a lawyer, do all this paperwork just to try and get more than 1 day a week. And it was something that I just lived in silence with for a really long time. Behind the scenes, I was helping him with his paperwork. We were fighting these battles and we were talking to no one about it, because I'm sure you guys know it's not the most pleasant dinner conversation to bring up your custody battle or whatever it is you're involved in. And I just kind of suffered with it in silence. And so then one day, I was never like a TikTok person, but my husband had been getting on it. And he was making videos about just random stuff like tabletop RPGs and dragons and fiction. But I was noticing that he was getting like 250 views per video. And I thought he was famous. I was like, dude, my husband gets so many views on TikTok. He's like a celebrity on there. Like, I thought it was like a lot. And I was like, it's kind of cool though that you have this space to talk about what you want to talk to, and you're reaching, 250 people. That's a lot of people. I want to kind of rant about these family court issues for a minute in this space and just see what happens. And so I made the username the Dadvocate, like it just came to me. And then I sat
where
on
did that come from? It just
apparently I'm not the only one who thought of it. There's like lawyers groups and stuff who have used it, but I don't know. One day it just kind of like came to me and I was like, I'm more like the Dadvocate. And then I was like, oh, that's pretty good actually. So I thought of the username.
Way good.
And then I just sat on it until one day something was bothering me. And then I just came and I sat down here in this office. And I sat in this chair and I opened up TikTok, and I didn't know how any of it worked with like the filters or the effects or even how to caption correctly. I didn't realize you could edit the captions. So like whatever happened in that first video, blame TikTok. And I just ranted for like 3 minutes straight about how unfair it is that we can even have these like sole custodial default judgments, and how you have to work so hard just to prove your paternity, and how you can still be ordered child support even if you prove the kid's not yours just by virtue of having signed the birth certificate, even if it was under duress, all these things. And then the next thing I knew, I was texting my husband and I was like, hey, is it normal to get like 10,000 views in an hour? And he was like, what? And that blew up. And then people started asking all these questions. They were like, well, how is it possible that you can pay child support on a kid that's not biologically yours? And I would like answer that and get into this. And it's been 2 years since then, and there's still no shortage of things that I feel the need to address and speak on. It's just that now I guess I had no idea that it was such a huge thing that was affecting so many other people. And the platforms that we're using, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, these platforms are giving people just like us who can't talk to our friends about these. Like, I'm just curious, feel free to answer respectively. Have you guys lost friends from talking about your issues? Because I have.
I did.
I did.
It's
how about in the chat?
The point.
Majority of my friends, actually.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You would say that you lost the majority of your friends because of this. I could probably safely say that.
Conflict, separation.
Wow.
And
so did I.
And she was friends with all my friends, right? And I didn't go on a campaign of smear. I just kind of went back to myself and was doing my thing and stuff. And all my friends took her side, and we played sports together. So softball, volleyball, basketball, we were on all these different activities and things, pool.
No.
And so all the things that I did, that I had like my outlets with all my people that I was into, now it was just her outlet. And it wasn't for me. And then after she moved away, I kind of, I didn't go back to those things. I just did something different. Actually, I just did this, and I've made way more friends and way better friends because of this experience. Because of that, I think the connection that I have with people, like having real pain and real suffering and sadness and being helpless, and then finding people who have been in that exact same spot with you, who resonate and are also focused on doing things, has been so empowering and supportive for me to come through this experience. And unfortunately it doesn't end. Alicia, how about yourself?
Oh, I live in a small town. Small town. So yeah, same exact thing pretty much. I mean, I had a couple solid people that have always stuck with me, but I can't necessarily say if it was, I mean, I know I've lost a lot of people on Facebook because they're like, oh, it's just all, why are you posting so much of this or that? Or, why are your TikToks weird dude mustache or whatever? But, I mean, I don't care. I do not care. And the couple people that stuck with me, especially through the drama of everything, those are the people that were meant to stick around. And it's just like Daniel said, and you said way more friends, way more positive, beneficial, relationships and support than anybody before. And if they chose to side with, I don't know, the other side, then that was their choice. But there's also a few people from our relationship before and things like that I ended up not talking to for many years that have, come back around, and now we're, kind of mutual friends again. So there's those situations too, but yeah, it's a pain. And nobody understands. That's the whole other thing is nobody understands the situation or the struggle unless they've gone through it, or unless they're in it. And most people, they really don't care. They really don't.
I still remember, I think because most people will not treat it like an airport. They won't announce their departure. A lot of people will just kind of slowly slip away. But I will never forget, there was one friendship that I lost because of this whole situation. And it really hurt because it was one of my best friends who I talked to all the time about everything that was going on, down to every detail. And when he decided to stop being my friend, he was like, I just can't deal with you constantly complaining about some middle-aged lady, which he's referring to my husband's ex, which is not even middle-aged. So it was like, and I was like, I can't believe that you don't understand that this isn't just a situation of me saying like, she's such a bitch, I hate her face and the way she dresses. It's, she stripped a father and a son like 80% of the time that they had away from each other out of pettiness. That's what I'm complaining about. I'm not just complaining to be an asshole. And it was like, man, if these people who I'm the closest to still don't understand. And I mean, this particular person, he had a really bad relationship with his dad. And he would say time and again, like, your husband is the kind of person I wish I had as a dad. And so the fact that he would say these things to me and then not understand the injustice of this person that you wish you had as a dad, not being allowed to be a dad, why doesn't that light a fire under your ass?
Right. Yeah.
Why aren't you
like, I want to go like that.
I probably could have fallen over at one point because my ex, he declared to, Facebook, that he had won primary physical custody when he did. And the amount of comments that I was able to see in people saying, congratulations. And I can't say for certain that I would have done that exact same thing. Like, I mean, it was a super personal thing going on with us, but just the reactions and the comments from people, that I thought knew us.
Yeah.
And
that it hits a little
so that it was hard to read that. And it's like, well, he's a dad. It's like, I get all that. He's a dad. He won custody. And so it's like this, this kind of really big deal. Maybe nobody totally expected it. I don't think anybody really did, but just reading what some of the people said, considering they knew what the circumstances would be and what would happen, just like you were saying, then there's one parent cut out 80% of the time. And it's like, you should not be congratulating anybody in the world on that. Mm-hmm. Especially if it's, it's two parents. They're both fit. They're both capable. So why? Yeah.
And
thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah. And I will say too, I don't think a lot of people take into consideration what exactly they're celebrating when someone says, I won sole custody. To me, to be honest, when I see that someone is going for sole custody, my first thought is that other parent better be abusive.
Yep.
If you're fighting for sole custody and you are completely unwilling to even work with them as a joint co-parent, then there's better be something very wrong with that other person. that's kind of what we all think. And a lot of people also don't think beyond that box of, you know, in celebrating that this mother or father lost custody.
Yeah.
You're celebrating that their image is kind of tarnished in a way. Like people have this really false equivalence that non-custodial means unfit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very harmful. And that's one of the worst problems with family court is this whole you're the winner, you're the loser title situation.
Right. And I think women, you know, as a non-custodial mom, and I was not one, but I have a lot of friends who have been non-custodial moms. And my experience is that it's harder on women to be non-custodial parents when they go to court and lose. And everybody I've talked about is I mean, I don't know if it's harder, but it's terrible for everybody. But it's hard because moms are expected to win. Like the expectation is that mom wins and dads lose. That's just how it goes. And then when you lose, you're like, well, what did you do? No, don't lie to me, Alicia. What did you do? You know, and that's and people come at them like that.
We already talked about it. We'll watch the live.
I know. You're way too nice. I know. You can watch the live. It was the first one we did.
That was something I've really changed my mind on in the last 2 years, was when I first entered this space and I was like, father's rights, which I've since moved more into calling it equal shared parenting advocacy. Is in the beginning, I used to say stuff like that too, is I would be like, man, if a mom lost custody, she must have done something up. She must have really messed up. But the more you learn about family court, the more you understand most often it's just they didn't have enough money to keep fighting.
I was going to say too, Zach, because I actually read through some stuff, you know, gave myself a little PTSD the other day, but I did not bring it up before, but the judge absolutely hated my boyfriend, who is my husband now. I mean, because when all that was happening, yes, he was involved. He was there, and they said subpoenaed him and brought him into court. And man, our decree kind of it ripped him to shreds a little bit, just because he had like an ugly look on his face in the courtroom. So that I know that it's a factor.
Did he mention
it's
that?
Definitely a factor.
An ugly face in the courtroom, like he said that in the decree.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to.
It's not surprising.
We're gonna have to deny the mother custody in this courtroom because her boyfriend is just not hot enough. You needed to come in here with a Giga Chad, so no custody for you. Sorry.
Well, they stated basically he was, and he might have been, whatever. He was giving my ex dirty looks.
That's
what it says.
Not something.
It says it.
That's
it says
that's
it.
crazy.
I'll post it later.
That's
I'll share it. I don't.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's those little
stuff like
little
that.
things like that. That's such a minor thing, like right? Oh, you gave dirty looks, so therefore your girlfriend can't even have shared custody of her kids because the boyfriend gave dirty looks to a guy who's out there, you know, trying to take the kids from you and doing all these things. It's crazy. My judge just told me, and when he came to my law classroom and gave a lecture, that his job is to decide before we go to court who he picks to be the winner and who the loser is, and then destroy the loser as much as possible financially in his courtroom. That is his job as a judge, and it's recorded. I don't have the recording, but it is recorded, and to hear a person of that authority who has the ability to like change lives and affect how families separate and has ultimate power over it, it's so disheartening. And when he said that, I mean, my stomach, like my heart dropped, and it was lucky he's a judge, but my heart dropped, and I was like, you're destroying families. Like there could be two loving parents, and these kids need these parents, and you are now like intentionally stripping them of one to be vindictive, and you are the most vindictive one of the whole entire group. Like, how awful of a person are you, and how awful is it that you're in charge of this kind of stuff? And I think this happens all over the place. I was talking with Melissa Isaac last week, And Melissa was saying that she's been seeing that it's been getting better, but it's the old white guys that are out there that are the worst. And like the old white guys are out there just hammering on parents. And she's found that the younger women that have become judges recently have been better, at least in Alabama and Florida.
My judge was a woman. My judge was a woman.
Judge was a woman. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it, but yeah, it's just, well, she's a Wyoming judge, right? And those judges hang out. There's 19 judges in Wyoming, and those judges know each other like intimately.
Yep.
And they communicate. And so your judge and my judge are friends because they don't have any other friends based on what they do for a profession. But anyways,
they're friends with our attorneys too.
That's true. That's true. So I will soon be friends with them also.
Are you going to be friends with judges, Zach?
I think so. I don't see.
That probably helps.
My intention is to be friendly with everybody, and also as a good friend and as a lawyer, I'm going to call them out on their bullshit. So you're not going to get away with like doing ignorant stuff when I'm in the courtroom with my client, or afterwards. And if you can't handle that, then maybe we won't be friends.
Man, the eye contact thing though, that's not the first time I've heard that. I actually do have a buddy who, what his situation was he had gotten very similar to Mark Ludwig's situation, gotten put on supervised visitation for just kind of like an asinine reason. Like, well, we just have to make sure that he's going to be good enough. And it's like, people don't make sure moms know how to parent before sending them home with their babies. Like, no one even checked to make sure that I had the car seat installed properly when they sent me home with my baby, dude. No one's checking that stuff. Okay. But he's doing the supervised parenting thing, and she gets it to where signed in to where her mom is going to be the one who supervises it. So she's there, and she wanted to wait outside of her mom's house to kind of monitor the situation during the visit. And I guess he had like looked at her at some point. And so she was able to write into the judge, like, he was staring at me during the visit and it made me uncomfortable. And so the judge was like, all right, you can't stare. And it's like, you want to know what would solve that problem really easily, actually, if she wasn't there. If right. You would just trust him to parent the kid, then she doesn't have to be stared at. Very easy.
Right. Oh, supervised visits are such a racket. You get put on that. So you get a thing saying that you're basically unfit, right, at that moment in time, and that never goes away. You lose that parenting time, and then it takes you a year or more of visit time to get back into court, and then get minimum visitation established. It's basically like a death sentence. It's like the silver bullet. You can say they physically abused you, and you can just say, hey, I'm worried about my kid's safety. And that's good enough. You don't even got to accuse them of like physically abusing you. You can just say it, I'm worried. And just the worry gets judges all up in a tizzy because they're like, I can't be the one who allows this kid to get hurt, right, on my duty. And so I have to like go above and beyond. And then you just never get back in the court, and it never changes. And people are spending, I do them with my nonprofit here in South Dakota. I intend to do them more often, but that they are doing, it's $50 an hour, to do this stuff. And so if you're seeing your kids a couple times a week or a couple times a month, you're paying $600, $1,000 a month to get to see your kids every month. Most people don't have $1,000 of money just laying around every month extra, the disposable income to go out there and see their kids and then continue to pay lawyers and do everything else. And so it's just this racket that keeps them in the system.
It's worse in other areas. What he was paying for his, I have no idea why it was this high. He was paying $200 an hour.
That's what I was going to say. Was it at a facility?
I don't remember the exact terms, but I do remember it was like an astronomical amount of money. And I think he's one of the people I've seen spend like the most. I think he spent about $50,000 to end up just securing his rights, and they were married too. So it's, I'm curious to hear what you guys would say. What would you say is the average cost of establishing your rights as a father? Because I would say average 10 grand.
10 grand. Easy. And that's probably the low end.
As an unmarried father, or somebody going through a divorce.
Average all situations.
Average altogether, 27. That's
27. So like throughout the whole US, probably.
I think 10. People just are broke at 10, and so they just take whatever they get. And so people probably spend that kind of money, and then they go broke. I spent way more than that. I sold I had a rental business. I owned rental companies. I was a real estate agent. Had 14 agents working for me, and I had 11 properties, and I sold them all. So I paid for it. So I went from having a retirement and planning on being done soon to being flat broke with nothing left, also starting over, and also being granted the bare minimum. I could have been a criminal just getting out of prison, and I would have gotten the same amount of time.
People really don't. No difference. They don't think about this stuff, and they don't know about it, and they don't recognize it until people like us force them to listen and put it in their face. But these are some of the big losses that really go unseen and unspoken about behind closed doors with family court. It's not just the time lost with the child, which is of course the most invaluable and precious thing that is lost, but it's also how many of us had to sell our childhood comic book collection, or our one dream car that we spent years working on, or, you know, in some of our cases, a boat, you know, timeless, sentimental memories that we've had to exchange in hopes of just getting that time.
Yeah. I had to sell my office to an investor and pay rent to somebody else, exponentially more money in rent. And I sold my house, like my first house that I ever fixed up and stuff, and had. It was all the memories, all the things that I did for my son, and I was going to give to him. I sold just to be given the bare minimum amount of time to be in his life, and he has none of that now, and he will never get it back again. I'm working on remaking it, but it's a start from zero thing, and he's missing out the most. Like, what could he have gotten besides me paying the lawyers $100,000 plus? You know, what could he have gotten out of that? You know, he could have gotten so much more, and the benefits that he would have had in his life to have experiences and vacations and things I could have done for his mom and everything else. Like, coming to see you in Michigan would be really easy if I would have had my rental properties. And he would have had all those things if I was allowed to have that stuff. But I had to fight so hard, and we went through every single loophole. But the first thing you thought is a financial affidavit. They knew how much money exactly I had, how many investment properties I had, and they knew how much they could extort from me to get that out before they let me go. And it was a wild experience. I'm gonna tell one story. My mom, I was on the phone with my mom, and I was sitting on the edge of our compound's railing on our fence, and I'm on the phone with my mom, and I'm bawling. Like, I'm selling all my stuff, Mom. I'm giving everything away right now. I'm gonna sell my last house right now, and I have nothing left. And she's like, "What'd you buy this for?" I was like, "I bought it for my future." And she's like, "That's what you're doing right now?" Well, I wasn't planning on crying, but you're doing it right now. You are doing everything you can. And my family never had this kind of experience. So they didn't know what family court was like. And it was the saddest, most awful experience I've ever had, where I was like, I just leveraged everything I had for my son, that I was so proud of myself for providing for him and for me. And now it's gone. And I had to start all over again. And I was already in law school. So I was like, even more, like it's not gonna be for a while. And people shouldn't have to do that. That shouldn't be the cost to get to be a dad or a mom. You shouldn't have to. And kids don't deserve that.
I really think that before a couple is even allowed to go to court, before they're even allowed to file their first motion, they should both have to sit down into a room together and listen to someone just tell them straight up, like, you guys don't have to do this. You don't have to take away thousands of dollars from raising your child. You don't have to put yourself through all this stress, go digging through the mud to try and find as much as you can sling at the other person. You don't have to do this. It's going to take some concessions. It's going to sting your pride sometimes. But if we can sit down and hash this out, you don't have to do this.
You don't have to do this.
Narcissists exist, so.
They're a real thing. And I feel like they're growing, right? Do you think they're growing because of the social media and stuff? Like everybody's just out there posting all this stuff, and there's so much like, I want to see my life. I want everybody to be focused on me, and all I'm thinking about is me, 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 me. And there's not this like, there's no community, right?
You want to know crazy? I swear this has to be relevant, but I just read a crazy statistic because I was curious and I was like, just trying to Google some stuff. I learned that we are having so much more babies than ever before now. Like we are up, 86% of women by age 50 now will have a baby. And that's up from 80% in 2016, like very recently. Like we have more access to birth control than ever before. And we are just making more babies than ever before.
Right. And 64% to unwed mothers, I think it is.
And I think that's 64. Also the result of social media, because even though we have access to more education, more birth control, we have access to more of that stuff, we also have more access to bang buddies and meaningless, pointless intercourse than ever before.
That's true. Yeah.
Facts.
I have never heard that word before.
I was trying to be sensitive. I was going to use the alternative, but I was, I didn't want to drop a hard, hold on, where is it? My husband made me this. Can I reach with my headphones?
Is it crocheted? Is it an F-bomb?
One of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
At first I was like, why did he 3D print me an ornament with an F on it? Like, my name's Lauren, but then I realized it's an F-bomb.
That's dope.
But yes, these buddies. But no, and so what that means is, I mean, we also know that there are so many kids being born from unmarried parents at this point, which means that there's going to be a lot more situations like ours that are going to need to be handled with care, with respect, and with proper, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess presumption of good intent toward both parties. There's not enough of
like
that.
A presumption of 50-50 custody in any situation, as long as both parents are fit.
I want to read Scott's comment here. It only stopped when her family ran out of money. Only then was she willing to come to the table and mediate. Isn't that so sad too? Because I know that they're not the only ones who are willing to exhaust their parents' money, their grandparents' money, all the resources around them before they will just set their pride aside and co-parent. They're willing to use their sisters, their aunts, their friends for childcare before they'll just let the man or their spouse that they had a baby with watch the child.
Right.
Right.
Me and Zach talked about that before. There's always, if it changes, there's a catalyst to that change. And just like that guy was saying, you know, they ran out of money. And so finally, fine, okay, yeah, we can talk about it. Or so-and-so, you know, really screwed up and they're going to lose everything if they don't come to the table. You know, there's always, I feel like you either like initially agree and everything's pretty much good. There's people that do that.
Yeah.
But when it becomes this situation, it takes something big to stop the fight, because even after people have their orders and there's a non-custodial parent and a custodial parent, they will keep up that fight for years, just to keep it going, to take more, or, you know,
it's crazy. Because there are people who they'll get their order and they'll be told, you know, hey, your ex has shared custody now. Your ex has this time now. You don't get to make all the decisions. And they'll still be like, well, this is just a suggestion, right?
Right.
I mean, it turns out to be a suggestion, right? But in effect, it is, because judges don't hold people accountable. There's no accountability by judges, especially, you come in, oh, I did this and I did that, and they just give slaps on the wrists, and then you have to hold them in contempt again, and it takes you 6 months to 9 months. So you might hold them in contempt 2 times, but it took you 18 months to get 2 meetings with the judge. And if they don't actually do anything about it, you're stuck. You're just stuck not seeing your kids, and they're stuck not seeing you. Texas law 2503, I think it's got a great approach that's going to allow a penalty. Actually, not allow it. It mandates that a judge impose a penalty upon the custodial parent withholding kids. And having that imposed penalty is such a huge opportunity, because now we have some teeth to go in there, and there's nothing the judge can do about it. They can't be like, oh, like this person's really nice, and I just want to give them a break. I'm going to cut them some slack. Yeah. I know it's the 7th time they've done this, but 8th time's a charm. They're going to do it the 8th time for sure.
Right. A slap on the wrist. That's what it is. That's what everybody calls it.
And also, it's that exact piece, that the judge's laziness, which is causing the domino effect of every other family court issue that they want to just blame on dads. Because here's the thing, if they could actually be intellectually consistent and in holding people accountable for the decisions that they, as a judge, this power that they really love bragging about, made, we wouldn't see so many other problems. For example, not only is it terrible that no one's willing to actually enforce these custody agreements, if mom doesn't want to give up the kid during dad's time, no one's really collectively doing anything about it. But similarly, when judges give dad all this time, and therefore he has a lower child support, and say this one dad is a deadbeat and he's not showing up to any of that time just so he can keep his child support lower, no one's enforcing that either, and no one's holding those dads accountable. But instead of actually doing their jobs and holding those deadbeats accountable, what they do instead is just treat every future dad as if they're probably going to try to cheat the system, and then not give him the time just from the jump. When really, you could have just done your job to actually separate the deadbeats from the good parents, so that kids have a chance of getting the good dad, which they need more than they need the protection from the what if he is going to be that bad dad with no precedent. That's
right.
Crazy.
He could be.
Amen.
He could be. Yeah.
Amen.
And I was talking to a lady this morning actually about it, and because she was commenting on one of the things, and she was talking about how she wishes that her kid's dad was involved, and she was heartbroken, all the dads that were hurt by this and stuff, and it's like, it's really sad to do that. But he's not getting punished by the stuff, but it's the dads that want to be there, that want to support their kids, that are being punished. Like, that guy's just being allowed to do his thing, right? And it's the dads that are really want to be there that the system goes after the hardest. And so, like, you're punished for really trying, and for the moms too. If you're non-custodial and you're trying to be involved in your kid's life, the system's out there to punish you and make your life more complicated and difficult. And it's just really sad. And all the minimum stuff, like Halloween's not even not a holiday on the minimum standards for custody. Halloween's like one of the greatest kid holidays that's out there. Kids need that day, and parents need to have those opportunities to have those experiences. And I feel like it was made up by, like, who knows who made these things up the very first time, and then why that one became the adopted thing that everybody uses, because judges are lazy. They're busy. They have too much going on, and they don't like this. Like, I don't think any judge goes, you know what I really want? Oh, I got 7 family law cases this week. I am so happy. Like, no judge does that. I don't think. Maybe my judge does it, but most judges.
I bet maybe some of them do.
Some of them do. Some of them probably do. But Lauren, were your parents married and stuff? Did you have any experience of family court before you got with your husband?
None. And I think that's why I was so shocked by it is, my husband and I are both very blessed and lucky we both have parents who are still married. So we both
Yay.
grew up with really strong models of like what marriage really looks like, what to expect from it, to know that there's hardships and to know that, with enduring love, you get through those things. And so I don't know why, I guess I just assumed that if two parents split up or if two people have a baby, that they both kind of would get access. I guess I was just so shocked to learn all the different things that I had learned. And I think the thing that shocked me the most was when my husband first started filing for things and trying to establish his rights. And he had provided all this information about like, hey, we live half a mile away from her. Everything she can provide, we can provide. We have a really healthy relationship. Everything is good. I earn consistent money. I can pay for things. He has a bedroom. We have food in here. Like, we have all of these, like, all these credentials. And we show up and we deliver that. And we were basically told, like, this is nice, but you haven't proved that she's unfit. So, and I was like, really? That's how court works. Is it's not so, like, you're not going to get your rights as a father by proving that you're a fit parent. You're going to get your rights by destroying this child's mom.
Yep.
So you're putting us in a really difficult position because we're not willing to play that game. Sure, we probably could make her look bad if we wanted to, but neither of us has any hard evidence that the other person is a bad person. We're both good parents,
Just sling it.
It's, yeah, some people, and we were actually given that advice by a lot of people, so that when we were lawyer hunting, those were the lawyers that we just weren't willing to work with. And some people might argue that was stupid of us. But whenever we talked to a lawyer, and we talked to many who were like, come on, give us the dirt, give us the text messages where she said she was on some illicit drugs, like, give us something, like, we need everything against this person. And we were like, we don't want this to be ugly. We just want to have equitable time with the child. But that's not the reality of the situation. Is most of these lawyers that you partner with, they're going to tell you the reality of the situation is that it's got to get ugly or you're not going to get anything. And that's what I want to change. That's really what I want to change, because if the presumption is that if you're trying to go for sole custody, you're probably like either something's wrong with you or something's very wrong with the other person. That's what the assumption should be when someone goes for sole custody.
Right.
It needs to be taken seriously.
Completely, it is a completely obvious reason that this person shouldn't be a parent. Like, hey, they are on meth right now, and this person shouldn't be a parent. Like, that's it's something so basic that it's. But people aren't getting, like, you don't see a lawyer getting together with, like, I don't know, a crackhead, right? Like, they don't like meet each other at an event and then hook up and be like a family and stuff. Typically, and so you don't have these grand disparities. You have people who are very similar socioeconomic classes getting together and doing things and stuff. I know, like, hypergamous nature of women and stuff. Maybe the guy's a little bit higher up, whatever. But don't polarize at me. But that might be a little situation. But that most people are pretty much on the same kind of level and stuff. That people, if you're a drinker and you're going to bars, your partner is a drinker and goes out to the bars. Like, you do things together with your partner, and you're not usually that much worse or different. And without, like, really firm areas of, like, this person is making a huge mistake and doing awful things that they shouldn't be doing, that everybody should have grace and be allowed to be around, because the kids need them and they need to have that example anyways. Even if your parent is jacked up and not doing the best job, they still need to see that parent. I mean, at some level, they got to have that connection, because that's half of them.
Exactly.
Every kid has two parents and they need it.
And it is aggravating because, of course, absolutely, there are women who marry a man thinking that he's just like them and he's not doing meth and he is career oriented and focused. And in the background, he's been hiding a horrible drug addiction for years and he's not safe to be around the kids after all. Like, absolutely, that exists. The problem comes when we're treating every man who walks in the child support office doors like that meth addict man. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. And I'm also convinced that these people start the dehumanization right away to eliminate their personal guilt of knowing that what they're doing deep down is evil. I'll just say the word. I'll just say it. I don't like to use the word evil, but quite frankly, when we separate children from loving and fit parents for financial gain, there's no better word to use.
Right. No, it's evil. It is evil. And our kids and our society is showing that it's having really terrible negative impact on our outcomes. You know, our country is messed up and we're having a lot of problems, and it all can be associated to not having intact families. And we need to make changes. There's a lot of work to be done to get that stuff taken care of. So, hey, Alicia, I asked Lauren, but were your parents married when you got divorced, or had they been divorced also? And me also, I had no experience. Oh, they had been divorced? Okay.
So, yeah, I got a messed up story.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
no, so, no, my, I'll just tell you real quick, because there's so many things you learn, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And being an adult and being a child and then understanding your family history and things like that. So it's just crazy. And I posted a question about some stuff this morning, or maybe it was last night. It doesn't matter. But my biological dad, my mom alienated him from me my entire life. And I grew up with a stepdad that she was married to. They ended up getting divorced, but I thought my biological dad just left me and didn't care at all. And that was the story I was told. So I was alienated from him. And then my parents, who I say are my parents, divorced, Anyway, they're all dead and gone now. It doesn't really matter, but it's just interesting generationally how certain things can, repeat themselves. And it's just so weird. As an alienated child, I've dealt with that situation with my own children now. And so it's crazy. It's just crazy the way this stuff works. And breaking the cycle is a very tough situation. But I think, personally, the more I learn about everything and the more I research everything and the more I'm able to actually talk and converse with other individuals going through the same situations, whether it's, more alienated daughters or people having current problems, with their own children, it's enlightening in a way. And so we just need to figure out a way to kind of just, break the cycle.
You know what I think has so much influence on that, though, is I think that so much of the cycle is influenced by how our morality is formed based around the laws as we understand them. So, for example, I was just reading a story about someone who had found out that he was going to be a father, but he wasn't ready, and he was looking into relinquishing his rights. And as people were trying to explain to him, hey, you can't just do that, he was like, well, no, you can, because my mom did it. My mom relinquished her rights, and it was just my dad who raised me. And so think about that. Morally, this person didn't grow up thinking I was abandoned by my mom, I never want to do that. They grew up thinking legally I could get away with it.
Yeah.
If there were legal strongholds in place, better ones that would have prevented his mom from just up and leaving, quite frankly, he would probably have grown up thinking like, well, I can't just abandon this baby. And this is where the law has so much influence. This is why so often I'm trying to tell people, like, it's not necessarily even you against your co-parent. It's both of you against a very corrupt family court system that is incentivizing you both to be the worst versions of yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. It does. And they reward they reward that. Whoever's the worst of the worst, that person usually ends up winning. I mean, it's a mud.
Yeah.
They want to go in there and have the mudslinging.
Yes.
I went in there. I mean, my tactic was to go in there and talk good about myself and my son's mom and say that she was a great mom and stuff. And I thought she was fine as a mom. And my lawyer's like, well, I don't know if that's the best technique, And I'm like, but I don't think she's bad, right? Like, I don't think she's bad, and I'm not bad either. And I had this utopian version of like, it's gonna all work out. My judge's gonna see me, and he's like, wow, Zach is a great guy. I'm gonna give him 50-50, and he's gonna do all kumbaya. We're gonna come through this experience. It's gonna be great. And I left it all out there, And I remember being done and being super emotional. In case you can't tell, I get emotional. And I was sitting there and talking with my family and stuff, and I was like, it's gonna work out. And then when I got the orders and stuff, it was just like, my heart was just broken. And I was like, man, he didn't hear any of the things that I said about her being nice. And he didn't hear any of the great things that I do. He only picked up on all the mud. And that was it. Like, the mud the only thing he was focused on.
That's exactly how it went for my husband. It was so heartbreaking. And my husband even told me, it really like tested his faith in every way. When you go in with such a kind heart, knowing that you're walking into that courtroom with every best intention. I want what's best for his mom. I want what's best for him. I want what's best for this child. And to be told, this story is nice, but what's wrong with the mom? If there's nothing wrong with her, why can't she raise the child full time?
Right. Yeah.
You really think so little of dads? You think that the only way that a dad is necessary is if the mom is off the rails? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And dads do something. I mean, you had a dad all the time, right? So like, you had that experience, and your mom and your dad weren't the exact same. They did things differently. I mean, we're not gonna go into like parenting styles, but they did it differently, right? And there's benefit from having that. Like, there's benefit to having the experience of like, oh shit, dad's here, or oh, dad's nice, but mom's gonna be, oh god, I can't let mom know I messed up because she's gonna bust my balls. You have to, and you get to learn that how to play different people and how to be in relationship with different people and connected, and see how negotiations work and communication and collaboration between two parents really work. And what we've done now is like, this parent has zero say-so in anything, so don't listen to that person on anything whatsoever. Only the parent we give custody to, that person rules everything, and they're the only ones that you have to pay attention to. The other parent, you just gotta go there every other weekend sometimes. So
because the judge says so.
Right.
Don't forget that
the judge said so.
The judge says
so.
Yeah.
I know. I really think that we need family court judges, like a judge who just does family court, and getting out of this, because I think a lot of lawyer stuff, and one of the issues I see with this, when I talk to Melissa, I'm going to talk about this, but they treat all these cases like they're the exact same, right? And there's a clear winner in a contract dispute with somebody who's got a contract, right? Like, if there's a tort issue and somebody got injured on a job, like, there's a clear issue, right? And like, there are facts that determine this being the case, and then this person wins money or whatever it is to help them get through that situation. And in law school, they were really big on like, there's a winner and there's a loser. And then you go to these judges and stuff in family court, it's a lose. Like, we're all losing. And these attorneys and these judges treat this the exact same as if we were in a traffic accident. And it's the exact same process and approach and treatment for the defendant and the plaintiff in these cases. I mean, the respondent in this case, whatever, but it's the same treatment, and they treat it like it's a normal, somebody messed up, somebody didn't mess up kind of a situation. And that is not what relationships and families are about. Like, there's grace, and we need to have grace, and we need to have judges who will give grace. So
that's true,
Yeah,
but
that's
a judge is also going to tell you, like, well, you guys couldn't work it out outside of here. You can't get along. You can't come up with your own plan. You can't agree on anything. Mediation didn't work, this or that. And so now, rubber meets the
but they
road. Now
incentivize
it's
that, right?
rubbing you up.
They incentivize that stuff. I mean, like in my case, my son's mom wasn't going to agree to anything. Like absolutely nothing that I suggested, short of her having everything, was to be negotiated on. Which how do you negotiate with somebody who's a terrorist, right? You can't. You have to go in there and fight. And so I went and I went to court and I said my piece, and I was like, I do all these things. I'm a great citizen of the community. I have this nice job. I provided for my son. He's got an office. I've done all these things to set myself up to be in a place that I could give my son the best life he could possibly have. And I'm here right now because I want to be in his life. I want to support him and do these things. And they were like, tell me when she had meth in her, does she have cocaine in her purse right now? Because if she does, then we'll get her. That's what we want to know.
Yeah.
You know, and it shouldn't take something that extreme, you know. And having judges who are just doing family courts, I think will soften those judges up, and they'll be able to have training to go in there and actually be like really impactful judges that are focused on, hey, like this is the family that's breaking apart. There's a lot of emotions. People are hurting. Kids are hurting. How do we separate this thing and do it in the most supportive and non like judgmental fashion to help these kids in this family separate and move forward as two separate units, both loving and caring for their kids. And that should be the majority of the way these things are handled.
Should be.
All right. Yeah. On that note, let's start wrapping it up just because I forgot to eat today.
So we're gonna answer at 12:30. Also,
we're gonna have a medical emergency.
You got that bomb right there. Just gnaw on that plastic. So.
Yeah, let me just. Don't eat the F-bomb, Lauren.
I think what's some big plans you have coming?
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. No, I agree. What are some big plans you have coming? What's next for the Dadvocate? What are you working on right now? What are some big things you got happening?
Oh man, I'm like so busy right now with just this whole Christmas season, but I'm really hoping to launch the podcast soon. A lot of people have been requesting just audio content to listen to as they walk around. I'm just trying to figure out how exactly I want to do each episode. Am I going to focus on like one specific issue? Will we do like interview episodes? Like, am I just going to talk about family court, or am I going to intersperse with relationship stuff as well? I do have my first guests lined up though. Because I want to talk about a lot of different stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how to work it into the Dadvocate stuff, but I was going to interview a poly couple who were going to talk about that dynamic, which is like an open relationship.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, they've been together for years just doing that. And so I was like, I thought it would be kind of fun to have like me and my husband interview this like very open couple, because like we're super monogamous, and we would be like, oh my god, what is this like? What is that like?
That's just an interesting one. Yeah, I think it's an interesting. It's just so much different stuff going on nowadays. You know, I mean, I think the traditional stuff with families before was so great, and there's a lot of different things, and it worked for them. That's great as long as they're happy, right? And they're doing a good job.
Yeah. Because I was like, I know I want to have a bunch of different kinds of guests on my show. I want to talk to a bunch of different people who even have like different beliefs or lifestyles than me. It might end up resulting in some debates, which is fine.
It's good. It's good content. It is great.
Yeah, a little debate action is always a good content. So,
but yeah, I'll have to have you guys on my show once I finally start it.
Yeah,
I have my son.
We're on Spotify.
Yeah, we are on Spotify. Yeah,
there's only one episode on there, but we're definitely gonna pop this one on there.
We're popping this one on there too. Yeah, Spotify.
We're gonna pop them all.
We had a lot of good conversations.
My girlfriend's our follower. She signed up because she wanted to listen to us talk. So when this one goes on there, she'll check it out. And do we have one? That's probably my girlfriend.
Win girlfriend.
I think it's probably two. It might be. It might be a couple more by now, but
way to go, babe! Way to go! Way to support us and what we're doing and stuff. And Lauren, I appreciate you Alicia, always much love.
Wait, hold on. I just wanted to tell her I'm so thankful and grateful to have you as a friend and a member of the Equal Shared Parenting community, because you're a rock star.
Feeling
I just really appreciate you.
Well, we love you guys too.
Yeah. Sounds good. Awesome, Lauren. Well, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. And thanks everybody for tuning in. It was a great show, and looking forward to doing a lot more. So see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.